Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Chittena niyati loko. The world is led by mind. Friends, I am glad to be here with you this afternoon to share the Dhamma with you. Dhamma, as you all know, is the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha taught the Dhamma very well, which is called well expounded is the Dhamma. So akkhato bhagavata dhammo, well expounded is the Dhamma. Sanditthiko, directly visible Dhamma. Akaliko, unaffected by time, this Dhamma, unaffected by time. Akaliko. Ehi passiko, it invites us to come and see. Ehi passiko. Opanaiko is leading onwards. There's an onwards journey. Opanaiko. Pachattang veditabbo vinyuhi. This Dhamma is to be realized by the wise individually. Though we practice in groups, Dhamma is to be understood, realized individually. This Dhamma is the wonderful teaching which we can understand, we can listen to this Dhamma after long time. It's Raya Dhamma. The Buddha taught his Dhamma based on mind. Therefore, this teaching, the Buddha's teaching, is called a humanistic religion, realistic religion. If you want to use the term religion, it's a realistic teaching because it gives us, it explains, the Buddha explained us this mind. So today, for this Dhamma talk, our topic is mind. How to contemplate on mind as mind. Mind to be understood, to be observed as mind. What is mind? Let's understand what this mind is. Mind is the fastest energy in the world, in this world and the world beyond. It is the fastest energy, not the light. Mind is faster than light. Mind is faster than light. Mind has been very clearly defined by the Buddha. Buddha said on different occasions, he has defined the nature of this mind. Most of us know the collection of the verses of Dhamma, which is called Dhammapada. Dhammapada, the book, is a collection of verses of the Buddha, where we find 423 different verses of the Buddha, in which there is a particular chapter called the mind, Chitta. The very first verse of the Dhammapada, the Buddha said, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. Mano means mind. Mind is the forerunner of all our actions. Therefore he said, all actions are led by the mind. All actions are led by the mind. Without mind, we cannot do anything. We just dead bodies, logs like, without mind. Bereft of mind, bereft of consciousness, The Buddha said, bereft of consciousness, this body will cast upon the ground as a log. So mind, Buddha said, all actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Act or speak with a defiled mind, suffering follows us as the cartwheel that follows the foot of the ox, drawn ox. The wheel is turning and follows the hoof of the ox. Just like that, whatever we do, unwholesome, all unwholesome actions, the results follow us. That is the meaning. Then it is opposite, the Buddha said. All actions are led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. Act or speak with the pure state of mind, Then happiness follows us as the shadow that follows us without departing. Just like our shadow. See the difference, the similes, the wheel of the cart. When you listen to the wheel of the cart, is that smooth? Is that soft? Shadow, think of a shadow. Can you understand even there's a shadow behind you? That is the difference between good and bad, wholesome and unwholesome, merit and demerit. That is the difference. So, mind, Buddha defined the mind in this manner. In this particular chapter named the mind, where the Buddha said, Pandanang chapalang chittang. I want to use Pali. Don't be afraid of Pali. I will give you the meaning, without which I can't explain these things. Without Pali, because it is the word of the Buddha, very word of Buddha. Buddha said, Pandanang chapalang chittam. Pandanam, flickering fickle mind. Pandanang chapalang chittam. This is the nature of mind. It's flickering like the fish that was drawn out of the water. That's how he said. This mind. Pandanang chapalang chittam durakkang. It is difficult to protect. Dun nivarang, difficult to control, difficult to cover. Durakkang dun nivarang. Ujung karoti medhavi, the wise person, only wise person does this. What? He strengthens mind, straightforward mind. Usukaro tejanang, as the fletcher strengthens the arrow. The person strengthens the arrow. Just like that, the wise person strengthens this mind. That is the Buddha's definition. Buddha, in the time of the Buddha, there was a monk named Sangha, a senior monk. His sister, when she gave birth to a boy, the little one was named after her brother, Sangha. So the uncle is Sangha, the nephew is also Sangha. This little one, when he grew, he was ordained. He also wanted to become a monk, therefore he was ordained. And after a while, he was asked to stay in a particular separate monastery, separate place, to spend 3 months retreat. You know, the monks, every year they observe 3 months retreat. Now, we just finished this 3 month retreat, and right after we hear the monks at Bhavana, we all observe 3 months retreat. After 3 months retreat, we had the Kathina ceremony. After that, I had to go to different places to give Dhamma talks. in different states such as Minnesota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Omaha, and all these different places. I just came last night. Then Bhante Ji told me to give a talk today and tomorrow. No word. I have to do it. So, the monk, this particular monk, Sangharakkhita, he was living in a particular place, observing 3 months retreat. After that, the people, at the end of the retreat, people offered him 2 pieces of cloth. Now he thought that, this is good. I will offer one to my teacher. And he then came to meet the teacher to offer this one pieces of cloth. When it was offered, he refused it. He said, no, I don't need. I have enough robe. I don't need this. But this nephew Sangharakkhita, he was not happy. He thought that the Bhante is not happy with me. So he thought that I don't know why. So what is the use of staying in this robe if he is not happy with me? I should disrobe, he thought. Then his teacher monk, asked him to fan him. Fan is this. I wanted to show you. This type of fan. His teacher asked him to fan him like this, slowly. While he was sleeping, the teacher was sleeping, the young one, he has to fan him like this. So he was asked to do that. Now he is fanning like this. While fanning, he thought, now no use of staying in robe, I should disrobe. After I disrobe, I will sell these 2 pieces of cloth. And then I will buy a cow. After that, when I have some cattle, then I will sell them and buy some goats. And after that, I will sell them and also I will get married. After marriage, then I'll have a little one. Then one day I will buy a cart and a bull. Then I will come to see my teacher. When I come to see my teacher with my wife and the kid, the child, on the way I want to take my child. Then if perhaps she might say no, then I will grab, and then in between us the child, the little one, might drop from the cart and fell on the cart track. Then the cart might go over the child, pass over the child. Then I will struck her with my stick. I will struck her, thinking that way he struck like this. He struck the wife, but not the wife. There was the teacher. He struck the teacher. And then the teacher, all the while, the teacher was reading his mind. All the while, the teacher was reading his mind, what he was thinking. Then the teacher said, oh, Sangharakkhita, thinking that you are hitting your wife, you hit this old man. He said, then being ashamed, he started to run away. And then some people caught him and took him to the Buddha, where the Buddha said, the nature of mind, it is the nature of mind. Though we are in a different place, even now some people here, though the physically here, the mentally is not here. That is what happened. Mentally thinking, roaming mind. That is the nature of mind. Buddha said, Durangamang, the nature of mind. Durangamang is far and far, going far distance, wandering far distance. Durangama. Ekacharang, this mind, the nature of mind. Ekacharang, no companion to this mind. Ekacharang, wandering alone. Ekacharang. Asarirang, no sarira, no form, no body. For this mind, no body. Asarirang, guhasayang, dwells in the cave, this cave. Lives in this cave. Guhasayang. Ye chittang sanyamessanti, he who trains this mind, he who tames this mind. Mokkante mara bandhanam, released from the bond of Mara. That is how the Buddha defined this mind. So, in this manner, we have to understand the nature of this mind. It is so subtle mind, so duddasam, difficult to see, so nipunam, so subtle is the nature of the mind. So this mind is to be understood by the wise. The Buddha said it is to be understood by the wise. One day a certain deity came to the Buddha and asked, by what the world is led around, by what the world is led around, by what the world is dragged here and there, what is the one thing that is under its control? Then the Buddha said what I said at the very beginning of this talk. Buddha said, Chittena niyati loko. The world is led by the mind. The world is led. What is world? World here means this is the world. You are the world. We are the world. I am the world. We are the worlds. Buddha said, Chittena niyati loko. This world is led by the mind. Go around. Whatever we do is led by the mind. Chittena niyati loko. Chittena parikasyati. It is by this chitta, this mind, this world is dragged here and there. Chittena parikasyati. Chittasya eka dhammasa sabbeva vassamanvagu. It is by all are under its control, the mind's control. So the mind is the controller of all things within this world. In such a way, the Buddha very clearly defined the nature of this mind. It is changing. It is changing faster than all other things in the world, all other animate or inanimate things. Mind is the fastest energy. This mind is defiled. This mind is defiled. When the mind is defiled, beings are defiled. The Buddha said, Chitta sankilesa bhikkhave satta sankilesanti. Monks, these beings are defiled when the mind is defiled. Then how beings are purified? When the mind is purified, beings are purified. So beings are purified when the mind is purified. Beings. What are beings? Beings, the Pali term is sattha, satta. Sattha, sattha means cling to. All those who are clinging to these five aggregates are called beings. So we all are beings because we are clinging to these five aggregates. Enlightened ones are not beings because they are not clinging to these five aggregates. That is the difference between enlightened ones and us. The Buddha taught this Dhamma to understand the nature of this mind. The mind, when it is defiled with greed, hatred and delusion. When it is defiled with greed, hatred and delusion. So we have to understand these defilements and remove these defilements so that our mind become a pure mind, clear mind. When the mind is tamed, when the mind is developed and cultivated, it brings us happiness. In the Anguttara, the numerical discourses, Buddha said, Pabassaramidam bhikkhave chittang, monks, this mind is luminous. Pabassaramidam bhikkhave chittang. This mind is luminous, however, with adventitious defilement, this mind is defiled. Uninvited defilement. Because of such defilements, our mind is defiled. But this mind can be purified. It can be purified only by the wise people. Wise people think to cleanse this mind. Not everybody. Not everybody. So that is how we are to understand. The mind has three aspects. Our mind has three aspects. Mind is connected to three different locations in this body. The mind is connected to six senses. We have six senses. Sometimes people say they have five senses. They don't think, don't know the sixth one, the most important one, which is the mind. Mind itself is a sense. Buddha said we have six senses: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. Those are the six senses. Our consciousness, our mind is connected to these six places. Mind is connected to eye. When the mind is connected to eye, it is called eye consciousness. And it is connected to ear. When the mind is connected to ear, it is called ear consciousness. Then mind is connected to nose. When the mind is connected to nose, it is called nose consciousness. The mind is connected to tongue. When it is connected to tongue, it is called tongue consciousness. Mind is connected to this body and reaches to each and every live molecule in this body. Then it is called body consciousness. And mind is connected to mind. Then it is called mind consciousness. In such a way, there are six classes of consciousness. Six classes of consciousness. That is one aspect of mind, which is called perceptional aspect of mind. Perception, that is how we perceive. We perceive things through eye, ear, nose, tongue, body and mind. That is one aspect of mind. Secondly, our mind is connected to our brain. When the mind is connected to brain, it is called intellectual aspect of mind. That is mano. Intellectual aspect of mind. Then the mind is connected to our heart. That is the third aspect. Mind is connected to our heart, which is called emotional aspect of mind. So three aspects. These are the three aspects of mind. Perceptual aspect, intellectual aspect and the emotional aspect of mind. Of the three, we have to subdue, we have to control, we have to develop our mind to subduing the emotional aspect of mind. emotions are to be subdued, emotions are to be cut off. In order to subdue these emotions and completely cut off emotions, we practice, we meditate. That is what is called mental development. Bhavana. We practice bhavana in order to subdue, in order to control, manage and completely eliminate emotions. Then our mental aspect, the mind, mental aspect becomes more developed and sharp, which is the intellectual aspect, intelligence become wisdom, then our wisdom is developed. That is called experiential wisdom. That wisdom is to be developed. It is through that wisdom we can see through. That is what is called vipassana. In order to develop this, we have to practice the Dhamma. We have to practice meditation. For this purpose, the Buddha taught us a technique. When practice this, Buddha taught us, keep this body as a fragile pot. Fragile pot. Keep the body as a fragile pot. As it is fragile, we don't want to shake it. As it is fragile. This body is to be kept as a fragile pot. And then the mind is to be kept as a fortified city, as a very well protected city. Nobody enters it, no enemies enter it, enter the city. So there are enemies enter into our mind. Greed, hatred, delusion, anger, jealousy, all these are enemies. You have to keep the mind, protected mind, very well protected mind, and then hit with the weapon of wisdom. Hit the Mara. Buddha said, hit the Mara. What is Mara? Means defilements. Hit defilements with the weapon of wisdom. That is how the Buddha instructed us to practice. So when we practice this meditation, we have to practice both serenity and insight. There are two levels of meditation. These are two levels, not two different types of meditation. Samatha and vipassana are not two different types of meditation, but two levels. When we practice samatha, we can switch to insight, vipassana. So samatha, when practice samatha and vipassana, the Buddha taught us a very clear-cut way. He very well designed a method, technique, which is called Satipatthana Bhavana. Satipatthana meditation. Sati means mindfulness. Patthana means establish. So establish in mindfulness. That is the technique. Establishment of mindfulness is the technique. For this purpose, Buddha delivered a special discourse revealing the technique of meditation. The Buddha taught this sutta, this particular discourse, when he was living in the place called Kuru. Those days it was called Kuru. Nowadays, presently, it's in Delhi in India. So Buddha delivered this particular discourse while he was living there in the place called Delhi. Now you know the Delhi, where Buddha delivered this discourse. Even today you can see that place. When you visit Delhi, it is next to a huge temple. There's a huge temple called Lotus Temple. It is next to Lotus Temple. Even when you visit, if you visit India, you can visit this place where the Buddha delivered this particular discourse. So the Buddha in this particular discourse, Satipatthana Sutta, establishing mindfulness, establishments of mindfulness, this discourse, Buddha, at the preamble of the discourse, Buddha said, monks, this is the only direct way for the purification of beings, for the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the entering of the path, for the attainment of enlightenment. This is the way. This is the only direct way. For 5 reasons. Purification of beings, the first. For the purification of beings. For the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. For the disappearance of pain and grief. For the entering of the path. Then for the attainment of enlightenment. This is the way. What is the way? Establishments of mindfulness. 4 establishments of mindfulness. The Buddha said 4 establishments of mindfulness. So this retreat is the 4 establishments of mindfulness. As I understand, already you have heard of, you have listened to the talks on the first two establishments, first 2 components, so to say. Contemplation on body as body and contemplation on feelings as feelings. Contemplations on body and feelings, when we observe this, we develop, from the day that we start our meditation, we develop our mindfulness. So the Buddha's instructions is develop, establish your mindfulness. Establish your mindfulness on 4 different places, for which you have to maintain 4 factors. In the beginning of the sutta, the Buddha said 4 factors. There are 4 factors to be maintained all the while you are practicing. What are the 4 factors? In Pali, the Buddha said atapi. Practice ardently, with effort. Practice whenever you sit. Practice with effort, not indolence, not lethargic, lazy, but practice urgently, diligently, earnestly, ardent. That is the first thing. Second, sampajano, understand clearly what is going on now, like that, now, right now, what is happening right now. Understand. That's called clear comprehension, clearly comprehending. Sampajano. Third, satima. Practice with mindfully. Practice mindfully. All the time. Be mindful. Unremitting mindfulness is necessary. Satima. Then the 4th one. Vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. Avoid both abhijja, covetousness, and domanasa, grief. Avoid both and practice equanimously, with a balanced mind. Practice. When practiced, we can develop our concentration. This concentration is very much significant for the continuation of our meditation. All the while we are practicing mindfulness of body as body. We have to observe our breath and parts of the body, postures and four elements, such things. Then we observe, understand the nature of feelings. Feelings as feelings. That is the second component. Now the third one, that is observing, contemplating on mind as mind. That is what we want to understand today. How to practice contemplation on mind as mind. Mind as mind. We have to observe mind as mind, not as mind is mine. Not as mind is mine. It is not mine. If you grasp it as mine, then what happened? Grasping, clinging. Clinging leads to what? Attachment leads to what? Existence. Existence leads to what? Birth. Birth leads to what? Decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, whole mass of suffering. No grasping, no clinging, no attachment. Simply we observe mind as mind. Not only mind, the first two also. Body is to be understood as body. As body. Not as my body. Not as my feeling. Now this component, this section 2, mind is to be understood as mind. Not as mine, but as mind. So the Buddha taught us to observe mind as mind. First we have to develop our concentration, for which you have to practice mindfulness of breathing. Mindfulness of breathing. So when we practice this meditation, we have to meditate on mindfulness of breathing, and then our mind has different states. These different states are to be observed. That is how we contemplate on mind. The Buddha pointed out 16 different states of mind. In this particular section, Buddha pointed out 16 different states of mind. Buddha said, while you are practicing, your mind is affected by greed, hatred and delusion. Lust, hate and delusion, in other words. Now suppose while you are practicing nicely, smoothly, observing your breath, natural breath. While you are observing your breath, the lust arises. You think of something, then lust arises. It might remind you something you have done, or your plan after this retreat, what you are going to do. The lust. Or it reminds you something you did. Lust. Sensual desire, sexual desire arises. That is what is called lust. Then it is affected, your mind is affected by lust. Buddha said, be mindful, more mindful, and understand when the mind is affected by lust, understand the mind is affected by lust. Understand it. Then what happens? Mind is not permanent and lust is not permanent. Lust is fading. When you know it, when you understand it, lust is fading. It is now unaffected. No more lust in your mind. You come back to the concentration. Your mind is better now. Your concentration is better. You are mindful. No lust in your mind. Not affected by lust. When it is unaffected by lust, you to understand that it is unaffected by lust now. So the first thing, when the mind is affected by lust, understand that it is affected by lust. Secondly, when the mind is unaffected by lust, understand that it is unaffected by lust. That is the second thing. Now third, while you are meditating, you have good concentration, but the mind is not steady yet, because you have sensual desire. You had sensual desire. Now the problem is not sensual desire. Now the problem is ill will. It hit something in your mind. Something happened. Somebody who harmed you, who said something which is not pleasant, did something for you, something wrong. Ill will arises, hate arises. Then the Buddha said, when hate arises and when there is hate in your mind, understand that it is hate. Now the mind is affected by hate. Understand, mind. When the mind is affected by hate, understand that it is affected by hate. And then hate is not permanent. Hate is fading away. Once it is gone, understand no more hate. Now it is unaffected. When the mind is unaffected by hate, understand it is as unaffected by hate. Likewise, delusion. What is delusion? You are deluded, not clear, not a clear mind. Just like mossy, something you can't understand. When the mind is deluded mind, as it is affected by delusion, understand it is affected by delusion. Affected by delusion. Then, when it is unaffected by delusion, understand it as unaffected by delusion. So in this manner, Buddha taught us to understand lust, hate and delusion. When it is there in the mind, it is to be understood as it is. When it is not there in the mind, it is to be understood as it is. Then the Buddha said, while you are meditating, your mind is contracted. Contraction of mind. You can't meditate properly. Then understand contracted mind as contracted mind. And another time the mind is distracted. When the mind is distracted, you are not concentrated. Mind is distracted, roaming. Distracted mind as distracted mind. Then at a time you can understand mind is exalted. It's great mind now. You are developing your mind, a great mind, exalted mind. If the mind is exalted, then understand as exalted mind. If the mind is unexalted, understand it as unexalted mind. Another time you might experience mind is surpassed mind. Surpassed mind, that means that state can be passed. It's a past mind. And another time the mind is unsurpassed mind. Unsurpassed mind as unsurpassed mind. Then when the mind is concentrated, you can understand it as a concentrated mind. Now the mind is concentrated. You can understand that nature of concentration. Mind is well concentrated. And then the mind is unconcentrated. Though you practice hours and hours, mind is not concentrated. You simply sit, observe breath, make effort, but mind is unconcentrated. If the mind is unconcentrated, what is to be done? If it is unconcentrated, if you are agitated, again hindrance. You cannot concentrate, being agitated. Calm down. Calm down your body. Relax your body. Calm your body. And come to the present moment. Simply observe your breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Calm. Relax your body. Calm down your body. And calm down your mind. Then automatically, without effort, you come to the present moment, you come to the state of tranquility, calmness, serenity. When the mind is such a serene mind, concentrated mind, understand now it is concentrated. The Buddha said, concentrated mind can see through. Concentrated mind can see through. That is vipassana. So, when you have this concentrated mind, you can switch to vipassana. Vipassana means see through. See differently, vividly, categorically. When you see categorically, vividly, what can you see? You can see 3 marks, 3 things. 3 marks of all things. Whatever you see, only these 3 you can see. When you see true, what are 3? You can see the object is changing. That is what is called impermanence. Nature, impermanence nature. You can see the object is changing. The vibration. Change in nature of the things. Then you can understand, as it is changing, it is unsatisfactory. Because you don't want to see change in nature. You don't want to see things changing. We all want to grasp things permanently. But things are changing. If we grasp such things, then we have to suffer. Simply things are changing is not suffering. When things are changing, if we are grasping, then only it is suffering. That is the second aspect, second characteristics. Then the third characteristic, third mark is that you can understand underneath of this plus of changing, there is no unchanging things, no block, certain entity, no substance there. If there is, that is what is called Atma. That is what is called soul or self, permanent entity. But underneath of this plus of changing, there is nothing permanent. So you see this. You see these three characteristics of existence. When you see these three characteristics of existence, your mind is clear. Your mind has reached to realization, to liberate from all defilements. When the mind is liberated, you know that it is liberated. Then you know that as it is liberated, you can understand this is the liberation. When the mind is liberated, Buddha said in the discourse, in this particular section, Buddha said, when the mind is liberated, you can understand as a liberated mind. When the mind is liberated, you can understand no more birth. You are not born again. You will not be born again. Birth is destroyed. Khina jati. Vasitam brahmacharyam, then you can understand that you have led this holy life. Vasitam brahmacharyam. Katang karaniyan, done what had to be done. Na parang ittattayati, never come back to this existence. You can realize this. So, in this particular section, the Buddha said, when the mind is liberated, you can understand it as a liberated mind. If the mind is not liberated, then you can understand that it is not liberated. So, in this manner, we can understand these 16 different states of mind. That is what is called the contemplation on mind as mind. When we understand this mind in this manner, we realize this mind as mind. And the mind is then, we call it consciousness, vijnana. It is a purified consciousness. It is not with defilement. As it is liberated from all defilements, it is crystal clear mind. It's a luminous mind. It's a featureless mind. Why it is called featureless? No features in it. No earth, no water, no fire, no air. No greed, no hatred, no delusion. No long, no short, no good, no bad. It's clear mind, purified mind. It is called anidassana vijnana in Pali. Anidassana vijnana. Featureless mind, featureless consciousness. This is possible only with the realization of Nibbana. That is called the realization of Nibbana. This happens not outside, not over there, but within these five aggregates. A certain monk came to the Buddha and asked where these four elements completely cease. What are the four elements? Earth, water, fire, air. The Buddha said, the question that you asked is wrong. The way that you put the question is wrong. What is wrong? You cannot say where these cease. Externally, he meant externally cease. But Buddha pointed out, no, these are not externally, but internally. You to ask where these four elements cease internally. Upparujjati. The Buddha used the word upparujjati in Pali. Uppa means internal. Internally come to cease internally. all these defilement internally cease. Then you come to coolness, calmness. That is what is called Nibbana, the realization of Nibbana. So friends, this is how we have to understand this Dhamma. This is how we have to understand the contemplation on mind as mind. This is not mere understanding. It's not enough. Theoretically we can understand all these things, but we have to practice more and more. When we practice this Dhamma in this manner, practice in both serenity and insight, we can understand and we can realize this wonderful teaching of the Buddha. Therefore, let's all read this Dhamma and practice this Dhamma so that we can understand and realize this real Dhamma, real peace. So, this is the end of this talk. Thank you very much. As you all listen to this Dhamma, we all acquire a great deal of merit. By the power of all this merit, may we all realize real peace, real happiness of Nibbana.